Core. Core. You are listening to Core, a show on Code Zero Radio that plays bands located in the Fox Cities. A show to find and discover new music. Hosted by Andy McNamara.
Based out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, guitarist and multi-instrumentalist Cody James. He's got warm and fuzzy blanket of pop and rock that's supported by satin sheets of jazz and blues topped with Midwestern-tinged pillows. Playing and arranging every instrument, Cody lays in a tasty bed of insightful songwriting that searches for the new and the unexpected. His new single, Everything in Me, is being released at the end of the month. I'd like to welcome Cody James to Fox Cities Core. Cody, how are you doing today?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Is this too early for you? I always like to ask if you know, our guests are morning people.
You know, it's early for me to be up in Appleton. Yeah, I'll say that. I usually wake up, I don't know, 8 to 8 or 8:30. I like to say I wake up earlier, but usually I don't. So, you know, it's not too bad. It's cool. It's cool.
And you've got a new single coming out at the end of the month.
That's right. Yeah. I'm working with a record label, The Animal Farm. They're based out of the UK. And so we're releasing this track. I'm really excited about it. I actually recorded it over the pandemic in 2020. I recorded the drums and I played bass and the keys and guitars and vocals and everything on it. And they took it and mixed it, and it sounds really great, and I'm excited.
We've got a lot to cover in the next hour.
Yeah.
I mean, you've played Mile of Music this year. And you know, the record label, just different things that we can talk about.
Sure.
Let's just kind of start from the beginning. Like, what got you into music? When did you start playing an instrument?
Well, I got my first guitar when I was 7. It was a Christmas gift from my father. And before that, I had always been kind of drawn to music. My family has stories of me, you know, standing in front of the speakers at home, the stereo at home, and just kind of headbang into the doors and stuff like that, you know. So I've always been kind of drawn to music, and then my brother-in-law introduced me to Kiss when I was like 6 or 7, and I just fell in love, and I'm still a Kiss fan, you know. And from then on, I always knew I kind of wanted to be a quote-unquote rock star, you know. I wanted the long black hair and the whole thing and be this huge, famous, crazy rock star, right? And so I just kind of, you know, latched onto that, and I never let it go. And so then, yeah, I got my first guitar at 7. I discovered punk later on, and then was in punk bands in high school, and just kind of kept going. So
it's interesting you mentioned like the Doors and Kiss. Eventually, we'll talk about it later. You formed a band called Atala.
Yeah.
And that was, what would the genre be? Would that be
like stoner metal?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get there too early, but
sure.
So you ended up liking bands like the Doors and Kiss, and then picked up a guitar. And did you take lessons formally, or were you all self-taught?
I was self-taught to begin. I took lessons for a little while, and it kind of ended up I would just like bring CDs in and be like, hey, show me how to play this song or this song. You know what I mean? Instead of like, you know, reading out of the book. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, wait a sec, like, you know, I can probably figure this out on my own. You know what I mean? If this is all I'm doing. And so that it kind of, it really allowed me to develop my ear really well, which I've always used in things, so.
Did you take, did you grow up in Oshkosh?
Yeah.
So was there a music store?
Yeah, it was Henry's Music then. Yeah, it was Henry's Music. I think, what was my, the instructor's name? I think was Tom Rothy. Maybe his name was.
You ever run into Tom?
No, but he was like a guitar player, you know, in a cover band or whatever around town, and like, my family would see him out and about playing, and so he was just kind of like a family friend at one point, which is kind of funny. Yeah, but.
So Tom got you kind of started
Yeah.
So when you're asking to play covers, what songs was it Doors and Kiss songs that you're asking?
No, so I was probably like 12 at that point. And so my brother had discovered punk, so I was into punk. So it was like the Casualties and like street punk stuff, you know, like super easy, just power chord stuff. And this guy's like, this stuff is so easy, you know. Thinking about it now is really funny.
So were your parents paying for those lessons?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
so they were kind of paying for you to go in there and like learn a little piece of a cover song.
Yeah, well, they didn't, I don't think they realized exactly what I was doing in the lesson. I think if they would have known that, they would have probably been like, well, it's not really worth it, but.
Well, so your parents were supportive, though.
Always. Yeah, always. Yeah, they were always at the shows. They still come to my shows. They would, in the early days of me playing, they'd be driving us around with all of our gear, and yeah, so they've always been right there. Yeah.
Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, yep. I'm the youngest of four. So I've got an older brother, two older sisters, and then I have three half siblings as well who are all younger. So.
And were they into music like you were?
My brother was, yeah. My brother played guitar for a while, and he still has a guitar. And he's really into music and stuff, and so that was always a good kind of support, for me. And like I said, he, got into punk, and so that got me into punk, and so he's always been really influential on me for that way.
Never formed anything together, though?
No, he never played in a band. No, he never took it to that level. Yeah.
So then you learned to play.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you form your first band or your first project?
High school, yeah, freshman year. I was in the band class, and I remember the first day I wore a Dropkick Murphy shirt, and there was another kid, Dan Kerner. You know him? Mm-mm. He lives in Appleton now. He's in this band Fast Plants.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, he plays bass, and so he recognized he's always been into punk and stuff. So he recognized me, and him and I became friends, and he introduced me to that whole thing, that whole scene. And then it was like the Deconform shows at the New Moon and stuff, and my brother was all friends with those guys and stuff, and so I was kind
of Derek Bruda.
Yeah, right, yep. So I was kind of I grew up in that whole thing, and so yeah, it was like high school, freshman year, Mike Fucci played drums, and I was friends with him in high school, and I can't remember who else was in it. Still No Name, it was called. Yeah, I played bass.
How long did that project last?
For a while, pretty for a while. I don't know, maybe a year or two, something like that. And then I was in another band called Noxious. That was with Justin Rimby and Mike DiMatteo, and that was kind of more like NoFX-y kind of punk. That lasted for a while too. We recorded in Fond du Lac. I remember that. Yeah.
Was that at Mike's Music?
No, we recorded with Ratbite Recording. There's this dude, I think his name was Shane, and he just had like this board, and he could come to you kind of thing, and he would record. So.
Do you remember the first time you stepped into a studio to record it? I mean, obviously you do everything now yourself, but
yeah,
was it kind of an overwhelming feeling, or just sort of a feeling like you made it to the next level?
Well, it just seemed kind of like a natural thing to do, It just kind of seemed like, well, we wrote these songs, and now we're just going to record them, right? And then, in the beginning, it was like on a little recorder, in the basement kind of thing. And then, yeah, well, like I said, with this other guy, Shane, when he would just come to our basement, and he had a little like board, so it wasn't like going to a studio, you know what I mean? I think the first studio that I ever really went into was probably... what was it called? It was in Oshkosh. Brian Kohler. It was there for a while. Topsoil.
Topsoil, yep.
Yeah, I recorded there. That was probably my first real studio experience, and it just felt like the place to be. It's kind of a natural thing to do, and I love being in the studio. It's super fun.
So those projects were punk projects, the first couple, and then you moved on to anything else, or was it to Atala next?
Well, there were other punk bands. There was Sabaeeth. That was kind of like it was like Minor Threat, but horror punk. So like the Misfits, Minor Threat. That lasted for a while, and I think that when that kind of fizzled out, that's when Atala formed, and that was like 2012, I believe. So yeah, it was pretty much punk, and then it was just like stoner metal, but that seemed like a really natural progression too, and all the guys, we seemed like that's kind of where we were at, because we always liked Black Sabbath and heavy music and stuff like that, and it just kind of naturally formed into that, I think.
So with all the other bands, that was quite a few bands you were in, to even get to that point.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what was like the biggest reason that bands would break up?
I don't know, disagreements would happen. Opinions would change. People would, want different things. Or like with Still No Name, I think that my first punk band with Mike Fucci, I think that was like, there was a point where we would have like a street punk song, and then we would have like a Social Distortion song, and then we'd have like a Misfit song. So we were all on totally different levels, so we were just kind of pulling each other apart. It's probably the same kind of thing with Noxious, where we just kind of like, it just kind of fizzles out, after a while. I think if you're not really like, if everybody's not really like, honed in and on the same page and driving forward, it just kind of fizzles out.
So that's how it starts. It's a different genre of music.
Yeah.
Did you realize at the time that the venues, or did the venues or places change where you were playing compared to like the punk bands? Did it kind of open up like a different door of places and people?
Yeah, I think it definitely allowed us to get into bigger places. We were still playing basements. We would still play the tiny little bars or the little like corner hole in the wall spots or whatever. We just had like bigger amps now. We had full stack amps, and we would literally take them everywhere. It didn't matter where we were playing. We could be in a tiny basement, and we would take them down there if they would fit. But yeah, I mean, I think that allowed us to get into kind of a bigger arena as far as like, we weren't just like banging on our instruments, screaming about, fuck this, fuck that all the time. We were, or whatever. Yeah, it definitely opened up some doors for us. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
And that band lasted. Well, you guys, did you tour?
Touring? Yeah. We were a band we ended in 19, so 7 years. Yeah, we toured all over. We toured the East Coast multiple times. We did like a 25-day West Coast tour. Well, we went down south. Yeah, we were all over the place. We had a couple records out. And
that band ended up, after 7 years, banding.
Yeah, and that was pretty much my call, honestly. I was just at this weird place in my life, and I was going through a lot of personal stuff, and things were changing for me, and I just kind of stopped having fun. It just wasn't working for me anymore. And so I had been solo for a little while before that. So I went solo. My first solo show was November of 2018, and so I'd been doing solo stuff for a while, and I think, I don't know. I feel like it was, the feeling was kind of there. I think the guys kind of picked up on it too a little bit, because I was doing a lot of solo shows. I was playing all the time, and then we ended up going on our last tour in March of 2018. Went down to Texas, and when we got back, is when I did it, and I had nothing against any of the guys or anything. It just was time for me to switch it up.
Were you doing most of the songwriting in the band?
No, that was very collaborative. Maybe in the earlier, some of the songs, like when we first started, we might, one of the guys or one of us might bring a song, but for the most part, it would be like one of us had a riff, and we would just build and build and build and do most of our songwriting at practice, when we were all together and stuff. And I mean, especially in the early days, we had in our practice house, we were always together. We were hanging out. We had a pool table down there. We had couches, and we were just always down there hammering stuff out. And that's one thing that was really great about that band, is that we were really all on the same page, and really all in, which was really great.
That had to be a difficult choice to, end something that you put 7 years of your life into.
Yeah, it was. It was, and it wasn't something, I'd been thinking about it for a while, and it wasn't something I just jumped into, and I didn't do anything, rash or whatever, or I definitely approach it with a lot of care, on my end, because it was something I poured myself into, and we all did for 8 years or whatever, and but at the end of the day, especially if I'm doing music stuff and I'm not really having fun, or it's not working, it's just like, you got to do something,
Out of that 7 years, was there one particular show that stuck out in your head as being your favorite that you played?
We had a lot. We played a lot of great shows. I remember we played this place in Rapid City South Dakota on our West Coast tour, which is where Mount Rushmore is, and we played this like little record shop. But it was after the show. We stayed with the people who owned the store or something, or the promoter or whatever. He lived on this like commune type place, so there was a bunch of like little like shacks and like tents and stuff. And it was kind of like an area like the Wisconsin Dells, so it's like kind of touristy because Mount Rushmore and stuff. So they had these like cave tours, you know, these like lighted cave tours, but it was shut down to the public, and these people owned it. And it was still lit up and everything. So we like went in there and we're like partying and stuff after the show and hanging out in this cave, and that was really cool. I don't know. We had a lot of really good shows. I don't know if I can really pick one.
So would a good show be like, just, you know, thinking of it in the whole of it, because obviously when you're a performer, it's not just the show, it's everything that comes before and after kind of adds to the feeling. But I think when you're touring, it's sort of, it takes on more of like an all day thing, because you're not just going home, you're waking up in your bed, playing the show and coming back home. So did you prefer to play somewhere else where you were sleeping somewhere in a different state and then playing the show, or did you prefer the shows where you were playing locally?
Oh no, I love touring. I love it. I actually just got back from a tour in August. I went out to the East Coast.
We're going to talk about that, the Midwestern-tinged tour.
And that was my first real tour since 2019, the last Itala tour, and I just love touring so much. I love it. I don't like over plan everything. I don't know where I'm staying that night. I just kind of let the night do its thing, and I go wherever. And I love touring.
Well, you're a family man too, so how does the family feel about that? Is your wife and kids okay with you being gone for stretches of time?
You know, my wife is amazing. She is amazing, and I know, and it's not easy for her. You know, I know we have 2 kids. You know, we have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they're in school. And of course, you know, during the school year, it's a lot harder. And I definitely, you know, can't do as much. But my wife is super supportive, and she understands how important it is to me. And I do music full time now, and so she's, you know, as long as you know, bills are getting paid, she doesn't care for the most part. And you know, I definitely miss them, and I miss them when I'm gone, and it's so great to get home after I've been gone. But touring is just it's in my blood, you know. I love it. I really do.
This is a good part in the show where we like to do band reaction. That's where we play a clip from a previous guest.
Okay.
And then get your reaction.
Sure.
Now, it would have been easy for me to choose when Sam McLeod was on,
and
Brian from 94 Distortion,
Yeah.
but I decided to take a clip from our last guest, Amos Pitch.
Oh, nice.
So we'll play it, and we'll see what you think, and if you have any like relatable experiences or anything like that. Here we go. Amos Pitch on a couple weeks ago on Fox Cities Core.
Band reaction. Band reaction.
School, I went on tour with this band from LA, thinking I was going to play drums for the rest of the year, basically, being hired to play for this band. Then the guitarist of this band fell down a flight of stairs and broke his arm in like 13 places. Tried to play the next show in San Francisco, and it was just too excruciating. And so their record label got me an Amtrak ticket home, which was the worst few days of my life, I think, because right before getting on the train, I bought just this humongous bag of apple chips, and I ate like half the bag. For some reason, not realizing that apple chips are just dehydrated apples. So I was eating like, 20 apples and just got the worst diarrhea of my life sitting on this train and going back and forth to the bathroom for like 3 days, all the way from Portland, Oregon to Milwaukee.
So, I mean, that's
Yikes.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
What's your reaction first to what Amos said, and then kind of if you had any similar experiences?
Well, I got to give props to that guitarist for trying to play the show the next day after like breaking his arm in how many places. Kudos to you, whoever that person is. And sorry that happened to you, Amos. That's horrible. At least it wasn't a Greyhound, I guess. Greyhound would have been probably worse. But anyway, I'm actually really lucky because when I tour, I have trouble pooping. So I don't ever have to like rush off to the bathroom, and I know people who have the opposite effect, and I'm like, man, I feel bad for you. But Any relatable story to having to sit on the Amtrak to have to poop all day? I don't know. I don't think so, honestly. Amos has me beat.
Well, okay. So after Atalis, we'll kind of go to where we are currently.
Okay.
How long did you take off in between Atala disbanding and then starting to write and actually like form some of the Cody James solo stuff?
There was no time off. There was no time off. I had been writing and forming Cody James. Like I said, I started. My first solo show was November of 2018, and Atala disbanded in March of 19. So it wasn't that much longer. And I had already had, like, everything in me, the single coming out was already written. I already had that song written at that point. So I had already had probably, I don't know, 8 songs or something at that point, and I had been playing tons of shows. And 2019 was a super busy year as far as shows. I was going all over the place. So I had, like, no time off.
Were you writing this stuff while Atala was still performing?
Not really, no. I was like super depressed, and I was going through this really big thing in my life, and I literally sat down one day and like 4 songs just like poured out. They just came out. It's like they were sitting up here, and I opened the door and they were out. You know, it was like one of those things. So I didn't really spend much time. I mean, I had like some like really bluesy stuff that I had written that wasn't appropriate for Atala, but I wasn't really going to be using that, I guess. So not really.
Well, then the style that you're doing now is obviously way different than Atala.
Right.
So if anybody's like, oh, you're gonna go see Cody James, play here, and expecting to hear Atala, it's not gonna be Atala. But,
right.
As far as transitioning to that kind of singer-songwriter type style, was that difficult? Because obviously you've got these big amps at home and all this stuff that you're using for this band.
Right.
Did you have to kind of reconfigure, retool everything?
Oh God, everything. Yeah, and honestly, I still am. I went even as far as like what I wanted to sound like and what I wanted my music to be and all this. I went back and forth for so long, and I still kind of do. But now I'm in a really good place now where I'm pretty comfortable with what I've got now. But yeah, it was like I sold a ton of stuff. I sold my guitar, I sold my amp, I sold tons of shit, and I got all new shit. I basically just like started over, and it was really hard. I had a lot of super awkward moments on stage, a lot of a lot of bad shows, a lot of really,
It had to be kind of scary when you're
yeah,
starting to do that.
It was, yeah. And I had never been on stage by myself, and so it was just like, but I was just like, screw it, if I'm not gonna do it now, when am I gonna do it, And I don't want to be, 45, 50 years old and be like, wow, I wish I would have done that, or at least tried, you know what I mean? So, and I still have awkward moments on stage, and it's still, whatever, but.
You bring up a good point, because if you're used to playing in a band, if you need to like tune or do something, you've got other people that can like
it's a huge safety net, know. And when you're by yourself, you're just by yourself, and there's nothing else. There's no like drummer or bass player to kind of vibe off of, or who can kind of help you out or whatever, but I think that really has made me a much better performer, and it's made me a lot more confident in myself, and it's made I think like, man, whenever I get a band together, I feel like it's gonna be so easy. Like I'll be up here with some other dudes or some other people, and it's gonna be great, Do
you have any plans to eventually put a band together?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm definitely going to. I think it'll be small to start, probably just bass and drums and guitar. But I could see maybe like keys or something in the future, maybe. And I miss having a band too. I really do. It's really nice to be alone, to be solo. It's really easy. I can just do whatever, whenever. I don't got to worry about schedules or anything, which is super nice. But I miss the camaraderie and the collaboration, and so I'm on this. Well, I guess we'll talk about the Midwestern-tinged tour a little bit, but I went with a dude, a friend of mine, and it was just nice to be on tour with someone else. It just kind of felt like I was in a band almost again. It was cool.
We can talk about the tour. So you went on the Midwestern-tinged tour.
Yeah.
And you went down to Memphis, I think, and that area down there, and you were playing with 2 other people. I wrote their names down. Where is it? Maybe you can just tell me. So
Brian Cherry and Soul True. So Brian Cherry's from Milwaukee. He plays it's I guess I would just say soul. He would probably elaborate a little more on that, but kind of soul music. He plays guitar and he sings, and he's a goofball, and him and I got along really well. And he's
And that
great.
tour was August 10th to the 20th. So that was right after Mile of Music, which
It was.
before we even talk about the tour, let's
Yeah.
talk about Mile of Music.
Sure.
So this was your first time playing Mile?
No, my second time.
Second time.
Yeah, I played last year. So my first time back at Mile, which was great.
Was it different than the first time you played it?
It was. I don't know if it was different. It was. It's always cool, I really enjoyed it. I had good shows, and I got to actually run sound kind of last minute for the Bike to the Beat thing, which was really cool. And I just love it. They really know how to do it right and how to take care of musicians, and it's just so cool that it's all original too. Like there's so much cover stuff, around here. It's just so big around here, and it's really cool that is all original, and they're really strict about it, and I just love it. I love them. They're so cool.
So how many shows did you play at Mile this year?
I did 1, 2, 3, 4 shows. I did a Friday show. I did 2 Friday shows and then 2 Saturday shows. Yeah.
Did you make sure you're armed with merchandise?
Oh yeah. I had tons of stuff. Yeah, which I unloaded a lot, which is nice. Actually, I have a free CD right now, so that's just like a really good way to get talking to people and just kind of hand stuff out, and yeah.
What's your opinion on CDs? Are they even worth making anymore?
Yeah.
They are.
They are. I'm just doing. This is a 2-song CD I threw together really haphazardly just so I could have something for tour, and it's Everything in Me, and it's another song on it, and I'm just giving it out, just giving it away. And I think if anything, that's not really a bad way to go. It's advertising. You're getting your music in people's hands, not everybody wants one. That's fine. But yeah, I think you need a CD.
You do a lot of stuff yourself. I mean, you're recording. I mean, what was your, like, the thing that made you decide to do all your recording yourself? Was it just like a desire to learn it and do it, or was it just like financial things, or what?
I've always done that. So even in the high school bands, I would have some kind of recording setup, whether it was just a little like 4-track tape thing or just like a whatever. I'd always just be like demoing stuff or doing more serious recordings, or so, I've been doing that for over 15 years now. It's weird when you get to the age where you're like, yeah, 20 years, I'm constantly reminded of that. But anyway, so yeah, I've always done that. And even with like Atala, I would do like demo recordings and stuff, and so I've always just done that. I've always loved doing it.
And so when you started the solo project, you put out For What It's Worth, which I think was the Buffalo Springfield cover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was on a compilation. So
Yep.
that was right out of the gate when you started writing. Do you have any solo stuff written when you did the cover, or was that sort of...
No, I had some stuff out at that point. Yeah, that was part of a compilation that I put together in 2020, which featured Wisconsin musicians and Wisconsin artists, and we were all covering classic protest songs of the 60s and 70s, and it was basically a stand of solidarity with current civil rights, and we were kind of drawing parallels between struggles of the 60s and 70s and now, a lot of similarities and differences and whatever. And so I just wanted to do something, and so yeah, I put that together, and that was a really cool project. But no, I had some songs out before then, because that was like September of 2020. So
You picked one of the coolest ones to record that.
yeah, I love that song. I know, and that's like it's like the poster song for that era almost, and it's not even about that song is not even about protesting a war, which is funny enough, or protesting war or anything. It's not a political song at all. But yeah, I love that song. It's so classic.
Did you get any good feedback from the compilation?
Oh yeah. I that was a really good project. I was reaching out to tons of people, as far as like promo, and I had a ton of radio interviews, and a lot of really good support with that project. And all the money, we had an auction, so we had local artists come through too, and they basically chose one of the musicians that they were gonna contribute a piece of art to, based around that song or whatever. And so we had some of those artists actually donate their art, and we had an auction, and we made a bunch of money, and that all went to the what is that called? I can't think of the organization. The organization. We donated all the money that we made to an organization. I forget what it was.
So do you think would that be something you would do again? Like,
yeah, that was really cool. It was really cool to just collaborate with all these different people, and it was honestly, I thought it was going to be like this huge big project, and it was a big project. But like, all I had to do was like tell them what to do, and they had to get me their song, and so it really wasn't too intensive to do, and it was a really cool way just to kind of get people together and do something.
At Mile of Music, did you meet any artists from out of town that, are you making connections at Mile, or are you just kind of looking to get through your shows?
No, I'm always so busy Mile weekend. So I had multiple shows outside of Mile of Music that weekend. I had like 6 shows that weekend. It was crazy. So I really didn't get to hang out that much. I hung out a little bit Saturday night after my last Mile set. But literally like Friday I had to leave and then come back, for my other show or whatever. So I really didn't get to meet anybody this year. And it was kind of the same thing last year. So unfortunately, no, I did not.
It seems like such a great kind of network opportunity, especially for artists that, book their own tours and stuff like that, because you're meeting people from out of state that you might be able to hook up with later. And
yeah. I think next year I'll probably make it so I can enjoy the festival a little more, so I'm not just like running all over the place. We'll see.
You're pretty active on social media. Mm-hmm. You're recording yourself. I know you're working with a label now, but I'm assuming you're booking your own tours and doing all that. Mm-hmm. Keeping up with the social media stuff, is there like one aspect of self-promoting that you don't like doing?
No, I really don't mind self-promotion. You just have to be careful. You can't self-promote. You can't overdo it because people don't care, You have to, you can't even do it most of the time. You can't be like, and you got to do it in a way that makes people want to see what you're doing. You can't just say, look at me, look at me, look at me, because no one's going to do that,
Are you on Instagram? And I know you're on Facebook. So what other
TikTok,
platforms?
TikTok. Yeah, I have like 50,000 followers on TikTok.
So like, when you find out about a new platform, do you get on it, download it just so you can get on there? Or do you have what you do now and you're just sort of like, I'm not doing anything else?
I have what I do now. I jumped on TikTok earlier this year just to try it out. And my wife and I ended up having a viral video, which helped out a lot. It was like unbelievable timing with the label and the song and all this stuff. So that's been kind of a struggle though, because like the viral video, I surprised my wife with a puppy, and I filmed her reaction, and I just happened to post it. So I didn't go viral due to music reasons, which is kind of bummer, but I'm trying to get all these like dog lovers to like my music now, and then again, you can't just be like, look at me. You have to be like, oh, here's my cute dog and he likes my music, and look at, he's reacting this way to my music, and you have to do it in a way that they like. But yeah, if there's some new social platform, I don't try to jump on everything because it's just too much,
Well, and do you typically like post the same things on all the platforms?
Probably like 70% of the time. I do have certain things that I'll only put on Facebook or only do Instagram or only do on TikTok. But yeah, most of the time.
I wrote down a couple of your memes from Facebook, so I'm going to go over those, make you uncomfortable here. Let's see. June 14th. A cool thing would be if I didn't allow myself to get stuck in technology loops when I'm just trying to complete simple tasks.
Dude, so true. My phone, oh my God, dude.
That kind of goes with what we're just talking about with, the platforms but technology loops, is that, so you were broadly talking about just anything technology.
Yeah, well, it's really my phone. I'm addicted to my phone. 100%. And it's like literally I'll just sit there and just like loop through like 3 or 4 apps for like fucking hours, dude. And I don't know if I can swear. I apologize if I can't.
Oh, my kid's watching. Hopefully they turn it off.
Sorry, Beckett.
But
Yeah, like
so I mean, do you have a thing on your phone? Because I think you can set like.
I know, no, I don't. But like, I'll just like wait. I waste way too much time on my phone. Is what it is, really. And so like your phone will give you like you have your daily screen time. Literally one day it was 24 hours.
What?
It was like you had like 24 hours of screen time yesterday.
That doesn't even seem possible.
But that's also because I have it. So like I'll listen to like headphones when I sleep, and then on YouTube. So my phone is on all night.
That's interesting.
You know.
So you can't fall asleep unless you have headphones with you.
No, I can.
Oh.
Yeah, I just like to sometimes.
Are they big, bulky earphones
No,
like this?
it's actually like it's like a headband that has little speakers in it.
Interesting. How does your wife feel about that?
She doesn't care. She doesn't care at all. As long as I stay on my side of the bed, which I never do apparently, she doesn't care.
Does she help with some of the music stuff as far as like anything like booking or?
No. She'll come to my shows and then she'll sell merch for me. She'll do that kind of stuff sometimes, which is really nice because
Yeah.
she's super cute and bubbly and talkative, you know, and that helps a lot. But no, as far as like everything else, no.
August 3rd, you got on the social media.
Uh-oh.
And definitely not booking a tour on my own ever again. And then in parentheses, yeah, right. So what was the story behind that?
So that was due to the Midwestern Dads tour, and I only booked like 5 of those shows. One of the other dudes booked the other ones, but there was a span of like 2 weeks before the show where one of the bands in the show was like, "Oh, we broke up at the beginning of the summer," which was like 2 months ago. You didn't say anything. We have a show next week in Pittsburgh, and then that same venue for that show, like 4 days later, was like, "Oh, our promoter was let go, and we have no details on your show. Can you let us know what's happening?" And so there was that, and then
And
it
you're
was
out of state, so you.
yeah, right, and then it was like our Indianapolis show was like, "Oh, we got a better show, so your show's canceled." Luckily, we were able to, and that was a Friday night, like a week out. You know, we're like, okay, well, we have another day off. Luckily, we were able to get another St. Louis show that night, and it was just a bunch of little stuff like that, where stuff was just like falling apart. You know, I'd been grinding on this thing for like, and booking right now, like post-COVID booking is totally different. Like, it's a lot harder. And so it was like super hard for me to book 5 shows, you know. Granted, I'm some like dude who nobody knows. You know, you're like reaching out to these people who they have no idea who you are and whatever. And
Are you more or less like cold calling in a way, except maybe
Yeah.
like cold emailing?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You basically send out like 100 emails and hope that one of them says yes. And so just like a bunch of little stuff kept falling apart right at the end, and I was just like so stressed out at that point, you know. I was like, screw it, I'm never doing this again. Sarcastically, of course. But there's that.
Are you sleeping on like floors, or are you getting hotels when you do these tours?
We would stay with someone if we could. That was always first option, you know.
That saves a ton of money.
Oh yeah. We would just kind of ask, you know, hey, is there any, you know, Airbnbs around? You know, just kind of get the conversation going. And a lot of times he'd be like, oh, you know, it's only 2 of you guys, so I've got a couch or whatever. But we would do Airbnbs if we had to, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we would, you know, I don't think we ever slept on the floor, but we would have if we needed to. We were pretty lucky.
September 5th, you got back online, and for people who cover Amy Winehouse, Valerie isn't her only song. Thanks.
That's so true, though. That's the only Amy Winehouse song I ever hear. Okay, and I love that song. I don't want to hate on anybody who's covering Valerie, but she has other songs.
Well, doing, you know, the genre you're doing now, are you hearing more like, you know, somebody sitting there with an acoustic guitar? So is that like, I don't even know that song offhand. So is there something that makes that song where it's like...
Well, it's upbeat, you know, it's upbeat. It's like a major key song. You know, most of her other songs are all about like drinking and being depressed and being sad, which I get, but like they're all good, you know. Yeah, it's probably an easy chord progression. I don't know. I haven't ever tried to learn it, but it's like the only Amy Winehouse song I hear, so I wanted to say my piece on this very important issue.
What is your go-to song when you're somewhere? You're like your go-to acoustic songs if you need to rip out a cover or two.
Well, actually, so I play electric now, which is always interesting because people are expecting like an acoustic dude.
So you're sitting there with, you've got like a small amp probably,
Yeah.
and then your electric guitar.
Yeah, yeah. Covers I like. I just learned how to do. What did I just learn? I just learned how to do "Yesterday" by the Beatles, and I like that song. That's not my go-to though. What's my go-to? I do "Come Together" by the Beatles. That's like a total crowd pleaser. Everybody likes that one. Or I do "Have You Ever Seen the Rain?" Because I do a lot of 3-hour cover sets too. So because I do music full time, and so that's kind of like tonight I'm playing in Fond du Lac and I'm doing 3 hours, at some bar, and so I know like a ton of covers.
Yeah, you're at Top Shelf Sports Bar and Grill tonight.
I am. Yeah, 8:00. So yeah, I don't know, that Beatles song or the CCR song. I do an Amy Winehouse song, and I do "You Know I'm No Good." It's not Valerie. Do you know that song?
I do know that song.
Yeah.
Do you have friends that go there and shout out Atala songs?
I honestly don't really have friends. I'm not. I mean, I do. I really kind of don't though, because like when I left Atala, I kind of left the whole metal scene, and that's who I had been around for a long time. And so, yeah, like I have a lot of acquaintances, but I don't really have like a buddy that I go to shows with or anything.
So you don't have people yelling old band song titles to you to play?
No, not really. No, only like Freebird and
Well, what's the
Barbie Girl and stuff.
Is there a good scene? Like, is the Fond du Lac scene just as good as Oshkosh and Appleton?
I don't know. I haven't played in Fond du Lac in a long time. I'm not sure.
We've got yeah. We're on the topic. You've got a lot of shows coming up.
Yeah.
You're going to be playing in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Next week you've got
Zambaldi.
Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go down to Illinois for a few shows, which Peoria Heights and
Yep,
Bloomington and Bishop Hill.
That's with Soul True. So Soul True is my friend from Iowa City. He's a guitarist, singer, songwriter, and it's his EP release. So he's doing a couple shows, and I'm going with him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you're coming back, Milwaukee and Madison. So I mean, you're places to check out Cody James if you're curious.
Yeah.
The Midwestern Dad Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's the crowd for something like that? Because you hear the title.
Yeah, a good amount of people thought it was like a comedy show. We got that a lot. They were not expecting, but they saw it and
Brian, Cherry, and Sultry. I mean, I guess that could.
And if you saw the flyer, we're all making stupid faces and stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like the Kings of Comedy cover.
Yeah, right.
Kinda.
Yeah. But the shows were great. The shows were really good. Like nobody knew who we were, and we were kind of relying on locals and stuff, and that all went really well. We had a ton of fun, made a lot of connections out there. I want to go back out. I want to do it again.
He's got a new track coming out in a couple weeks, which I think you'll be able to get it on Bandcamp, or is it going to be like in a special?
No, that'll be everywhere.
I think you can you pre-order it?
Yeah, I have a pre-save right now.
Okay.
So you can find me up or look me up on Facebook, which is facebook.com/realcodyjames. No spaces or anything. And my very first post is information on where to pre-save the song. Yeah.
And, you said you're working with a label now?
Yeah, the Animal Farm. They're based out of the UK. I use this service called Submit Hub, which you can basically pay to submit songs to labels and playlisters and all this kind of stuff. And so I just submitted some songs to them and they liked it. And that was earlier this year. And that was kind of another reason for me to put the acoustic EP out, was just to kind of, see if I can get some interest or whatever. And it worked. And so, yeah, we're going to be releasing 4 singles over the course of the next few months, starting on the 30th.
And you mentioned singles.
Mm-hmm.
Is that sort of where you think things are headed right now, instead of doing these full 10-song albums?
I think it's always good to be releasing singles. And I hear all the time where bands are going in and recording a full album, but then just releasing all those as singles throughout the year, which is really not a bad idea. But I think it's also cool to release singles and then compile them and maybe add another song or two for an EP or maybe for a full release, I really like a 5-song EP. I think is really digestible for most people, and you can really kind of showcase different things that you can do, you know, with that. And so I would like to do that. I think eventually is kind of lead up into at least an EP with an extra song or two on it.
The cover art, I think, is up for the new single.
Yeah.
And it's a photo of you. And who's doing your photos? You're doing this stuff in house, or do you have?
So the cover for the single, I actually did. I was laying in bed. I had COVID, and it was like day 5, you know. And this was earlier this year, so I still had. It was at least 10 days quarantine period then. It might have been 2 weeks. I think it was probably 10 days. And so it was like day 6 or something. And I was just like super bored and just kind of losing my mind, you know. And so I was just like doing goofy stuff. And I just started taking photos. And I actually kind of liked that one. So I was like, yeah, I'll use that.
Always working, Cody. Even
yeah.
when I'm COVID.
I can't breathe when I'm doing a photo shoot.
And then even the cover for Acoustic was really good.
Yeah, so that was a friend of mine in Oshkosh, Casey Gallenberger.
It's like almost like
watercolor.
a watercolor.
Yep, it is. Yeah, watercolor. He does watercolor portraits, and so I had a contest. I had just people submit stuff for the cover, and he submitted that, and I was like, "That's it." You know, it's really great. I think it really embodies where I was or where I'm at. You know.
Any more music video? Are you going to make a music video for the next single?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I need to.
Well,
if I ever I need to put it on my list because it's like swirling in the back of my head. I think I have more time than I do, and it's like, dude, I have like 13 days to do this.
Got a pretty cool video for Living on a Breeze, which you recorded, I think, at the theater in Oshkosh.
Yeah, the Time Theater. Yeah, so my friend Anthony Montalvo filmed that. He lives in L.A. Now, he's from here. He lives in L.A. He's a really good friend, and he filmed that. He edited it and everything, and I thought, it's a cool video.
Turned out really nice.
Yeah.
And you had to sit in all these different spots in the theater. And
yeah.
How long did it take you to get through all that? Because you had to kind of
that was probably it probably took us like 5 hours or something, all said and done. Which isn't really that bad. And
your friend's like, yeah, but it took me like 20 hours after you left.
Yeah, he was actually he was really stressed out because he couldn't figure out. So in one part of the video, there's like 6 of me sitting in the theater, and then I like fade away, or whatever.
You're up on stage too. And
yeah. And so he was like having a hell of a time like trying to figure out how to do it, and he was like getting like really stressed about it. And I was like, dude, just chill out, like I was like, forget the music video, man. Just make sure you're good. Like, it's not a big deal. Take your time, But it turned out great. I love it. Yeah.
So did he let you see it before he released it, or was?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
I would. Yeah. Him and I were. Well, he was working on it, but yeah, he would be like, "What do you think?" Or and so we would kind of tweak it and go back and forth and stuff.
Do you think you get more kind of people finding out about you from music videos, or from like handing out the free CDs?
I mean, music videos for sure. I mean, that just has the potential to reach way more people, than I could at a 50 cap venue, you know what I mean? Whereas YouTube is like the world. But then again, it's a double-edged sword because there's a 1,000 million billion other people to cut through, So you just, I think all aspects are necessary, video, CD, old school, new school. Yeah.
We talked about Mile Music. We didn't talk about Electric City.
It's weird because that stuff, like, I don't even know, I don't even hear about it. And then all of a sudden I just see the flyer that it's booked, or that here's a lineup. And I don't even know who to
You're
talk
booking
to.
yourself, so you'd have to reach out.
Right.
And do you find like when you're talking to other artists, is that kind of where you're getting intel from as far as like who to reach out to? Because it's almost like who you know in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I don't even know who to reach out to for that or other local festivals, a lot of them. Like I said, I'll just be scrolling and it's like, here's a lineup, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I missed it this year again.
Well, so the single drops in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be doing some shows.
Yeah.
If you're in the Fond du Lac area, Oshkosh area, Appleton area, drive down to Fond du Lac today, go to Top Shelf Sports Bar and Grill.
8:00.
Do you know if you're playing with anybody else today, or is it
just me? Yeah.
just you?
I'll be up there doing some songs and having fun.
And then next week up in Green Bay.
Yeah, Zambaldi. Yeah, that's a great place. They do original music night, which is really cool.
Where should people go if they want to find out more about you? We talked about your Facebook and Instagram and your TikTok, but is there a place. You're on Spotify as well.
Yep,
but
I'm on Spotify. You can find me pretty much anywhere. The bad thing is there's like a million Cody James musicians, like tons of like country acoustic Cody James, tons. And so you might have to do a little digging, but I'm probably the only one with long hair. So just look for my long hair in the photo. But yeah, I mean, you can. My website, if you really wanted to, officialcodyjames.com. I got stuff there. I got merch there. I have merch on Bandcamp. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That's probably about it.
very last question for you, Cody. This is a question that was kind of posed by Julia Blair a while back when she's on the show. What are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of? I'm most proud of surviving to this point. Of just living and making it to be as old as I am.
Well
And it's
said.
be I guess in the state that I'm in. You know, I'm not like a rundown, almost dead person. I guess I'm doing all right, is what I mean to say. You know, I'm living life and I'm doing okay.
And you're balancing family life with music career, which isn't the easiest thing to do either.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it without my wife, honestly, and so I owe a lot to her, always and forever, for many things. And yeah, I'm very lucky.
Well, thank you for joining me on Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Love to have you back once the single's out and you're going around and touring and playing shows on it. But check out Cody James, and thank you for tuning in to Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio.